lesson again, and we're up to lesson 3 of your creative writing challenge. Now this lesson is not as exciting as the vocabulary lesson that I did earlier in the week. This is all about structure. So what you will need, as always, is you need your pen, you'll need lined paper, preferably your phone again to use a thesaurus, and your imagination, and more importantly you'll need your work for previous lessons. This is the 3rd lesson, so you should by now have quite a few sort of paragraphs or parts of paragraphs that you've been working on, that you've been drafting in the previous 2 lessons. So this lesson today is going to get you to think about how you can organise your piece of writing. Examiners, English teachers really like clear and varied organisation. It's got to be really important to us that you've planned and that you've thought about where your piece of writing is going. And what I'm going to do today is talk you through a couple of things that you can include in your writing to keep your reader engaged. And that really is your big question in every lesson that you do for this piece of creative writing. How can you keep your reader engaged? You can do it through vocabulary that you did in your 1st lesson. You can do it through your sentence structures and your punctuation that you did in your 2nd lesson with Mrs. Page. And you can also need to think about the overall structure of your writing. So these are things that you may want to consider. You might want to think about your perspective and your viewpoint. From which perspective are you writing from? It's not just about 1st person or 3rd person. It's about where are you in this land that you've created, in this magical world. Okay? Where can you take your reader? How can you zoom your reader into certain aspects of your world? Perhaps the weather, perhaps a flower, perhaps an object, perhaps someone that you meet. Okay? So think about your perspective and your viewpoint all the way through. How can you use time and analepsis, which is called flashbacks? How can you use perhaps time to take your reader in a different direction in your writing? Okay, rather than just being in the same time frame all the time. How can you perhaps look into the past or perhaps into the future, prolepsis? Okay, to take your reader somewhere else, to think about keeping your reader engaged. Think about your variety of paragraph lengths. People don't like the same paragraphs, okay? Whatever you've learned in middle school about paragraphs being 5 sentences long or all being the same is rubbish, okay? Make sure your paragraphs are varied. They should be long, they should be short, okay? Keep your reader guessing, keep your reader engaged. Aim to use a single sentence paragraph, okay? Aim to use a really, really short sentence as a single sentence in the middle of your piece of writing. Okay, it shows that you're really thinking about how you can keep your reader engaged, keep your reader convinced, keep your writing compelling. And then think about your openings and endings. Okay, it might be that you want to link your ending to your opening, so you've got a bit of a cyclical structure. Okay, think about your ending and how can you use it to contrast or juxtapose your opening. So think about those things as you're sort of pulling your writing together over the next couple of lessons. A little reminder. This is your picture that the exam board have given you. This is the picture you're focusing on. But we talked about this in the 1st lesson. It's all about this magical world suggested by this picture. So it does not have to be just about that picture. It's suggested by, and you're focusing on the idea of magic, of wonder, of awe, of fantasy. And you had all those images from lesson 1 that you can go back to and you can have a look at. So this is really sort of a helpful, I think, sort of paragraph plan if you're struggling to kind of organise your writing. And at the end of this lesson, this might be where you want to pause, stay on this slide to help you generate what you're going to say in each paragraph. So what we've done here for you is we've organised it into 4 sort of topics or paragraphs. Okay, and I've said here, don't forget to try and add that short 1-sentence paragraph, okay, where you can build tension and build anticipation for the reader. So, paragraph 1, think about your perspective, think about the atmosphere. What do you want to convey to your reader? What do you want your reader to focus on? Okay, what is your viewpoint? Where are you? What can you see? And I said there you might want to use a preposition. Okay, prepositions are words like under, above, in front, okay, beneath, words that suggest the position of something, the position of you. Okay, think about using sensory language. Your next lesson is going to be working on sensory language. How can you build detail in what you're writing? So really think about a sort of a quite, I suppose, open viewpoint for your 1st paragraph. Okay, make it really clear to the reader where you are. You then want to focus on your reader on really zooming in on something. This is where I tell my classes to write a lot about a little. Find something really small in your sort of fantasy magical world to describe. Okay? It can be something very, very small, perhaps, I don't know, somebody's face, part of nature, that you might want to really, really focus on. This way you can use some really effective language. Okay, this might be a shorter paragraph, it might be a much smaller paragraph than your first paragraph, that's fine. And again, I've given you some tips here of things that you might want to use in green, and you'll be doing some more work on this in your next lesson on some of these features. Okay, your third paragraph, this is where you can really focus on time. So a small change or a shift in focus that allows your reader to explore the setting, to explore this magical world. I've given you a couple of options there. You might be much more creative. So a change in the weather, a sudden or unexpected sound, an arrival of another person. Or it might be here that you want to use a flashback. How did you get here? How did this happen? How is this world different to the world that you've left behind? Okay, so really think about how you can use time there to manipulate your reader, to keep them compelled by your writing. And then finally, the end. Okay, think about how the change, how the time has impacted on your perspective, on your experience in this piece of creative writing. Can you link it back to the beginning? Okay, if you're writing in the first person, what's next for you? Where do you go next in your fantasy world? Do you want to stay there? Do you want other people to see it? Are you going to keep it a secret? Okay, so I'm really hoping that this gives you a bit of an oversight into sort of bringing your ideas together now. Okay, so it's your third lesson on this. And again, make sure that once this video is over, you pause it, you have this in front of you. I think this is a really helpful slide in getting you to sort of bring all your ideas, your vocab, your sentence structure, your punctuation together. So, the rest of this lesson then is you having a go at bringing your paragraphs together, planning your paragraphs. Where are you going to go? Because in lesson 5, okay, you're going to have a go at writing this together, okay, bringing this and writing a complete piece of writing. And it's important that you've organised, it's important that you've planned how your writing is going to be organised, okay? So, use the planning grid on slide 4 to help organise your writing. Remember key things. Variety is important. Make sure your paragraphs are varied in length and in detail. You're zooming in, you're zooming out. Think about film. Okay, think about the start of a film. How do directors zoom the reader, focus our audience into certain aspects of the film. Keep your reader engaged with those structural methods on slide 2. Okay, good luck. Do some planning. Make sure you've thought about the organisation, and I'll see you in lesson 6.